All right, so we are live. Welcome. Thank you for who came through the hot weather of New York City. Or maybe you were just wandering down the street and you're like, it's probably cool in there. We don't have any interest in this. It's very hot here in New York, but we are going to move forward with OnSet. I am Daniel Norton, here with Cadence. Sets on the Mighty Mix. So, you know, serendipity here, right? I planned this idea, this concept for this thing months ago. And then yesterday that I called you? It's like yesterday, or maybe a couple days ago, Profoto announced some new versions of some of their hard reflectors. So we're going to get to use them live for the first time. So that's kind of fun. So if they're bad, I blame me, Cliff, if the pictures are bad, not the reflectors. So basically, they've taken some of their really popular hard reflectors and they have white interiors now. So this is an interesting thing because whenever I do one of these talks about hard, soft, because we all hear that when we start off in photography, the one thing people often leave out of the conversation is specular versus diffused. Like you always hear, well, if you want to make the light softer, you diffuse it, but that's not accurate. When you diffuse a light, you make it diffused, right? You don't make it soft, right? You make a light hard or soft by its size. So yeah, if I took a big diffuser and held it up and made my light bigger, it would be softer. But diffusion in and of itself, so that is a white interior versus a silver interior, is going to affect our specular highlight. It's going to make things more even. So when you're talking about doing beauty or portraits with a hard light, having something that is going to be punchy so we get great shadows, but also smooth so that the skin looks beautiful is going to be really important. So that's what we're going to get here. I predict. Stick around. We're going to find out. We're going to walk through each of these things. Plus, there's also a Fesnel, which is that available? Is that like a prototype?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, you never bring me prototypes.
No, you would. But...
All right, real thing. All right, so we also have a Fesnel, which is really fun because the Fesnel is kind of a classic hard light with the lens in the front. We'll mess around with that a little bit. So let's just, without further ado, let's do it. If you have questions, please do ask. Relevant to the shoot, obviously, and online as well. You can ask whatever you like online because Seth loves when you ask irrelevant questions. All right. I will try my best to go through the gear I'm using as I go, but if I don't say what something is, please do ask. These are Profoto B10x pluses. I'm going to use two of them. Did I just move the light and then put it back where it was? I think I just did that. Yeah. I'm using the Nikon Z6ii. A Z6ii just came out, but I haven't upgraded yet. Seth has, of course, because he's that kind of guy. And we're tethered into Capture One.
Wait,
so the first thing,
what is that kind of guy?
You're like you're a high roller, like a baller.
Yeah, nice save.
You know, he has to have the latest one, so he feels important. Okay. All right.
Says the guy using the latest modifiers right now.
Yes. Well, we all know that lighting modifiers are more important than cameras. All right. So, the first thing we're going to do, before I get myself in trouble with the lighting companies, first thing we're going to do is we're going to establish the black frame. So the black frame is basically something I do every single time to eat up time because they pay me by the minute. But what we're really doing here is we want to make sure that we are in control of our situation. I can use this beautiful light in the space if I want, but I want to know if I'm using it, right? I don't want to just go in there blindly. So what we're going to do is set ourselves up so that if we're not using any flash, in this case, we'll have a black frame. So what we do is we set our camera at the lowest ISO in the normal range, which for this camera is 100. We set ourselves at the fastest shutter speed within the normal range, which for this camera is 200. And then we adjust our aperture until we get a black frame. You know, with a mirrorless camera like this one, you just look at the back. It's black frame. But you want to take a shot anyways. So what we'll do is this. I'm at 7.1 because that was the shutter speed, the aperture of my first view camera lens, right? That's right. You're the only one that ever get. Nobody ever gets that joke, but Cliff will get it. All right. So, and you can see here in Capture One we have what appears to be a black frame. But what I like to do is jump over here and just drag my exposure slider up to see how dark it really is. Because what I'm doing is I'm setting my shadow base here. So when I start seeing skin tone, I take a look. I'm at 2.3 stops under. That's pretty good. A couple stops is usually good. Gives me room to kind of adjust, you know, in post, as the kids do. All right. Let me level my camera. I'll tell you what, of all the things they've added to cameras throughout the years, the built-in level is probably the best. Because as Seth knows, I am crooked. I mean, not like a robber crooked. I'm gonna level the tripod too though. You can just watch while I do that. That's good. Okay, here we go. I can see my camera's not level. All right, here we go. You with me still? Yep. All right, so now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use these lights. They have a TTL ability. So TTL means through the lens, as in through the lens metering. That means, in theory, when I take a picture, the light is going to communicate with the camera and we're gonna get a perfect exposure. If it's not good, Cliff will never let me borrow anything again. So let's hope. And you know, I'm gonna, like they teach you in YouTube school, right? I'm not gonna use the big bang at first. I have to lead up to it, right? So, yes I am. We're just gonna use the Magnum because that's my favorite. All right, so I have used the Magnum Reflector on this channel many, many, many times. It is, without a doubt, my favorite modifier, hard modifier for beauty photography. I like it better than a beauty dish. It's a really great modifier. And what's good about it, and it really does do this, because I've been a photographer for a long time. I know I don't look it, but everybody promises that their modifier will make you like things brighter. The silver version really does, right? So if you need extra light, that was always what people would use it for, but I love the punchiness of it. But as we talked about before, it's also specular, which means that sometimes you would get kind of blown out highlights in the face. So what we're hoping is we're gonna get a nice punchy shot and have nice clean highlights. This is what's been promised to me. And I always trust Cliff. How can you not trust a guy that looks like that?
I can't believe you did.
All right, so how should we do this? Should we, you know what? I'm gonna do a Rembrandt. Yeah, I'll put them on there. I'm gonna go this way, because I wanna see the fall off on the background and stuff. A lot of times I'll put this in kind of a more beauty position, like a butterfly, but I don't feel like getting a sandbag. And the sandbag police will get all mad, so. I already see the sandbag police are already, well, you know. All right, so when you're using a C-stand, make sure that you have the long leg, the long leg, out where the weight is over it, right? So the weight of this is this reflector. It doesn't weigh much, but, so my leg's this way. All right, ready? Do you think it's gonna work? Let's get some, you know. All right, so, I don't know which one is which. This one's in the A group, so that must be B. So I'm gonna go over to the A group and I'm just gonna turn that off for a second because, you know, we only need one light right now. So we should just be firing the one light, which is in the B group. And I'm in auto, which is TTL. Yeah, fired. Exciting. All right, so I'm gonna turn on the modeling light so we can see where it's aiming. And you can see, that's like a boom, right? That's a lot of light. And we can also see where it's falling. And remember, without our light, we have a black frame. So if we are looking at this light and we can see it's on the background, guess what? The background's gonna be lit. So if we want that, cool. And we'll do that to start with, because we wanna use the grid, right, Cliff? All right, here we go. This is almost too good for the first shot, though. Well, yeah, let's just do it. All right, here we go. That wasn't TTL, right? Yeah, I was, okay. All right, so that's pretty nice. We can see we have a punchy light, but her skin tone, despite the glowing, skin glows, you know, like a lady glows, is really smooth, you know? And the eye texture, look at that.
And her hair texture, yeah.
This is why Seth has cameras with more megapixels than me, so he could, I'd be able to go real close, but it's not gonna look as good.
I just zoom in and then delete the photo. I'm sorry.
But yes, so we have hard light. So why do we use hard light? Why do we use hard light? So let's take a step back for a second. My mom's texting me, hold on. Nope, that's not the button you press. Hold on, I'm going into mute. Stand by, Mom. All right, hopefully it wasn't important. So what hard light's gonna do for us is it's going to give us texture, as Seth pointed out. Small light is hard. Hard light creates shadow. Shadow is texture, right? Texture on clothing, texture on skin, texture on product, anything, right? If you want texture, which we sometimes do, we want hard light. That's the beauty of it. That's why a lot of beauty photography is done with hard light, because we want the lips to be really crisp. We want the eyelashes to, but we also want it to be smooth, right? And again, this is what we're gonna get here. I think that's pretty good, darn good exposure, to be honest with you. You made it too easy. Not bad. So just because it's a requirement, because what ends up happening is we're using Profoto gear, which of course is top of the line professional gear, right? If you want the best reflectors, Seth makes these Brooklyn reflectors.
Look, I made wind-resistant holes.
Wind-resistant holes, $255 a piece. There is a pay-per-month program. You can go to Seth's website, brooklynreflector.com. Okay. All right, so we're going to just bounce a little light back to fill in. Because remember, a lot of times people will say, oh, well, I don't want shadows, so I don't want a hard light like this. But the thing is, you can use hard light and fill in the shadows, right? The shadow can be filled with the Brooklyn reflector, $259, or 3 easy payments. I can't remember what I said the first time.
I only accept aluminum cans.
Now, I have to show how easy it is. But thank you. Did it work? Oh, yeah, it did. All right, good.
It didn't work.
Look at that.
When does a bounce board not work?
I don't know. With my luck, like right in the middle of a live stream. All right, so we can see, depending on what you're going for, right, we've got a crisp, dark shadows, but with some bleed, because that's one of the effects of the white, right, is that we're getting a little bit more detail in our shadows, or we have a flattened out image. So it really depends on what you're going for. And you can obviously hold the reflector closer or further away to get more or less punch. So it depends on what you're going for. Easy, right? Let's use the grid. So what does a grid do? I mean, first of all, it makes you look cool. But, and if you want to be extra cool, you don't call it a grid, right? You call it a honeycomb. And the ones on soft boxes are called egg crate. Egg crate, that's right. All right, so Cliff showed me how to do this the right way, and I'm going to try not to break it. All right, so we're going to put the grid on. So what the grid is going to do is it's going to narrow the spread of the light. So this modifier has a certain amount of spread, right? It's not a laser, right? So as it comes out of the light, it's spreading out. Well, whatever that spread is, I'll just make up a number because you don't know, 110 degrees. We're going to cut that down to 10 degrees. Wow, that's a tight grid. This grid is white, which is going to make it a little bit more smooth in transition. And actually, I've never used a white grid before. It's my first time. And, I always find it useful to use something for the very first time while live streaming. Because, why not? I'm going to go into more of a butterfly pattern here. So we're going to get at the sandbags, which Seth moved to over here. He moved them like 6 months ago, but he still moved them, so I can still say that every time.
They've been there forever.
I don't think that's accurate, but okay. All right. All right, so here's a sandbag. Again, we're putting the sandbag over the long leg. You don't want it to touch the ground because then it won't be doing anything.
While Dan's doing that in the chat, I pinned the Adorama blog to the top of the chat because Daniel Norton is now the new editor of the Adorama blog.
That's correct. I am now the new editor of 42 West, which is the Adorama blog. So if you are interested in blogs, I think it's a good one. Well, I wouldn't work for it if it wasn't a good one. All right. We're going to do a butterfly light here, which is, you can read an article about on the blog. Seriously. And what the butterfly is going to do is be central on our face, right? Because, again, if we don't want to use a reflector, but we want to show the beauty of Cadence's entire face, her visage, if you will, having the light in the center will make that even. It's also going to kind of narrow the face because the shadows will fall off. But because of the white interior and white grid, it's going to be gentle. It's always important to just, when you're photographing, to describe things as gentle. Won't hurt a bit. It's gentle. Because we are the most hated, save dentists, right? Like, how many of you have done a photo shoot and the person says to you, the first thing they say is, I don't like being photographed. It's the first thing they say. And then you say, well, too bad. Pay me first then. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we're in this position. What we want to do is place the light so that, again, it's The grid's only 10 degrees, which is not a whole lot of spread. So it's gonna basically be like this. I don't recommend walking up and do this, just eyeball it. And you can kind of see where it's gonna fall. I'm gonna raise it a little bit so that the center of it falls like roughly on her nose. Yeah, we can do some modeling light, you know, for the kids. There we go. You didn't think that was gonna be right on the center, did you? Cliff was like, that's not in the center. Look, it's not bad, not bad. Whew. All right, usually kids has to like move up and down to make sure, I nailed it. All right, so again, we're in TTL. We don't have to make any changes to our camera. Our camera is still set exactly the same way because our camera is set based on this light. That is to get rid of this light. And we're gonna look right at her. She's gonna give her best, you know, magazine cover face, and we're gonna take a shot. And there we go. Now we've got a nice butterfly light. Oh, except the thing he does, okay, which I don't like, but that's okay. And we can see, that's actually not bad. That might be the best butterfly I've ever done, and live. And we have a nice kind of light encompassing and showing the face. Yep.
The link for this Magnum is in the chat now, guys, for those of you asking.
Yeah. Seth's gonna throw a link, thanks Seth. So again, all the people in your town are like, we're beautiful, we're beautiful. It's sweet, powerful, crispy light with this white interior is looking pretty good. Now, what I want to do is I want to use a telezoom. Now I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever used a telezoom for a portrait. Can you believe that? So this was originally designed. Seth doesn't like it when I give history. For sports, right? Because what does this do? It throws the light, right? But because of that, we're gonna get a nice punchy light source. Plus, it's kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like the old time movies, like The Director, action, right? So we're gonna give this a shot too. We're gonna kind of see what we like. All right. And conveniently, if you have the Magnum reflector, the grid is the same. Right? Same grid. One grid for both reflectors. So another useful thing about this is, of course, the size of your light is its size relative to who your subject. And since this is physically larger, it's going to be closer. Right?
It's a question that.
Yeah.
Is there a difference when zooming a Profoto reflector? I guess they're talking about moving it.
Yeah, there is, right? So. They still have them on here?
Yeah, they're on it.
Yeah. So, where are they?
The numbers are on the light.
Oh, they're on the light.
They don't have the
Okay.
dimensions anymore.
So, basically, you've got these numbers on the light, and depending on where you are, it will control the actual spread. Because remember earlier I said I made up a number. What did I say? 110 degrees. That's relative to where the zoom is. And it does actually make a difference, yes. So what I usually do when I'm first getting a feel for a light is I push it back until it's flush with the inside. Just that's which actually is 7, I think, here. Or possibly 1. It's the one that's all the way back. That's how I usually do it. But there is a difference, and there's probably some spec sheet somewhere that tells you. Can you tell me the exact spread? Just make it up.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, tomorrow morning we're going to get the tune in. Well, it used to say, right, on the old ones, it had degrees on it, yeah.
Yep.
Now they make you look it up. It's probably on your phone. All right. All right, so now we have the telezoom. Let's see what the difference is. Now, here's something we have to consider. Because this is longer, it's closer, of course, but it's also in a slightly different position, right? Because if you ever change a modifier, you have to consider this is now my light source, right? Not this, it's this, the front, right? Which means when I look at this, it's too low. It's pointing kind of at her chin. So we're gonna raise it a little bit. Yeah, all right. This does not have a grid on it. And I'm kind of doing this purposefully because I want to see how much of the background we get lit up. We're probably gonna get a nice little, I mean, I could just do the modeling light like Seth likes me to do, but I feel like that's giving away too much. But see, we have a nice little circle of light on the background. It's like that Elton John song, Circle of Light, no, from The Lion King. And there we go. Ooh, Oh, I like the telezoom. Okay, no grid on this one. All right, interesting. So it's not a really direct comparison because, of course, there's no grid on it, but the telezoom feels a little more punchy, which makes sense, right? Because it's designed to really compress and throw the light. So, yeah, we got a little more punchy with the telezoom. I gotta say telezoom with the grid, though. All right. Yeah, we're not messing around here. So, you know, ultimately, what we're doing here is we're making drama with our light, right? We're shaping the face to show what we want it to look like. We're highlighting the beauty of our subject. And that's a lot of times what you don't get when you use giant softboxes. It's great. You want to use a big softbox? That's what it's like using a shotgun. You're just kind of lighting the space. You got to be safe. You're photographing a lot of people. But when you can really take the time to craft your light, I find that using a hard light is just, it's so satisfying, you know? Oh, I almost did it backwards. You see that? Cliff told me not to do it backwards. I almost did it backwards, but I think I did it right. I'm taking the grid on my beauty dish. That's probably why it's all broken up. This is like the only prototype white grid in the entire country right now. And Cliff's trusting me to it right here live. If I drop this thing, we'll have to put some brown tape on it. All right. All right. Any questions so far? No, nothing. It's amazing, so there's no questions. Or it's like, huh? All right, let's see the grid. Right now, we're kind of running through this, and this is actually kind of, I'm enjoying playing with this new thing. All right, but all right, so let's get some Netflixing. Now, notice too, by the way, again, every time I've made changes, I haven't made any changes to the camera because the TTL is grabbing the shot. What's the difference here?
For a tight space, that's a pretty nice.
Does anybody see a difference? Nothing?
You guys can talk, you know.
Yes.
The background is a lot darker.
The background is a lot darker because the grid is narrowing our light so it's not spreading past and it's just coming right here. So, you know, when people talk about shadowless light, there's always going to be some shadow, right? If you don't want a shadow on your background or you don't want light in the background, you just have to either use the tool that will control the spread of the light, or you got to aim the light so that the light doesn't hit the background, right? So we can get light on the background like we did before. We can get the light off the background. We could also come in and, Yes, question.
James in the chat's asking, does the hard light work better for black and white portraits?
Is hard light better for black and white portraits? You know, if you make sure that you expose it properly, yes. I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of times you'll see with people shooting hard light for the first time, because most hard light reflectors are silver lined. They're very specular. And when you switch things to black and white, oftentimes it looks more contrast. You people love that contrast. So it can get a little blown outy, and really to get that nice texture, you want to get even light. So I like hard light for black and white. I mean, should we make it black and white? Is that what they're asking for?
I have no idea.
I can make it black and white. Watch this.
Is that one of those modern photos that can go black and white?
Yeah.
Color?
If you press the button correctly, there is a button here for it. Adjust. I know how to do it. Don't worry. Don't you have to tell me. All right. There we go. Didn't even do anything special. I didn't even use Cadence black and white, which is probably on here.
Probably is.
Hold on. Let me see if I have it.
Probably won't work in this situation.
Right. Okay. You know, I didn't light it for black and white, though. Here's the thing. Even though we can do anything we want, right? We are shooting raw, we can change the color, we can make it black and white. Generally speaking, if you're going to shoot black and white, you want to kind of shoot it like you plan on shooting black and white. And this is not how I would shoot a black and white image. In fact, go back like 6 months, I did a whole stream about how to kind of light for black and white, because I think you just want to do it differently. I think just making it black and white, you know, not really my jam. But in color, it looks nice. Cool, yeah.
So Ken in the chat's asking, do you have any suggestions for reducing shadows on clients wearing glasses when using hard light? Because you're obviously going to cast shadow from the glasses.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's tricky. So, right, that can be a problem. So there's a good example, right? If you have glasses on and you do this exact lighting, you're going to get a shadow. You could fill it. I think a lot of times that comes down to getting the right direction where the shadow looks good. Trying to just eliminate something is not always your best bet. I find people struggle with that, right? It's like, get rid of this, get rid of that. Instead, choose the thing that works, right? So if you're shooting somebody with glasses and you don't like the shadow the glasses make, then maybe that's not the right light for them, right? I mean, that's kind of the way that it seems like, but that's basically what you want to do. I mean,
Or own it and cast
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm saying.
$10 shadow.
yeah, and I mean, there's ways to do it. You can have the head tilted a certain way. Again, you can hide the shadow on their face, but then you're going to start worrying about, also glare in the glasses and everything else. It's already hard enough to kind of keep it level. So I would use probably a bigger, softer light if somebody has glasses. You don't want to show that. Or don't shoot them head on, right? A lot of times a profile shot will look better with the shadow. It just looks better. So you just got to kind of think about that. I'm going to use a zoom reflector because I said earlier I've never used a zoom reflector, the new one. So we're going to try it. I'm very excited about this. So the zoom reflector is the kind of your standard, is that fair to say, Cliff? Yep. Standard reflector. In my acute 2400 pack, right, it has the big bulb sticking out of the front, you always use these, otherwise the light flies everywhere. This is going to help you kind of control the lights. Also a small reflector to kind of give you some focus, but I like that it's got a grid. I think we can do a lot with this. It's not going to be quite as punchy as the other two, is my guess, but it's going to be punchy in a different way. It's going to be harder. Now, as I said, what I generally do is push this back until I see, here it's 6, okay? And I think, I could be wrong with this, but I think they call it a zoom reflector because of you zoom it, right, with the thing. That's kind of not because of the video conferencing software. All right. You didn't get a sponsorship. Okay. We're going to go back to a 45 degree because I feel like it. All right, so we're going to use a zoom reflector. This is a real simple reflector, and we're going to walk through, I think because this is simple, we're going to walk through getting something here that we like, right? So we're going to kind of, not that I didn't like the other stuff, but we're kind of just looking at it. This is the white zoom. So it's going to be a little bit, or maybe a lot, more smooth because we don't have that specularity. It's not going to be soft. It's going to be diffused. Diffused.
Is that it?
No, they didn't get it. You got to make notes. There will be a test at the end of this.
You're already testing me, don't worry.
If you get all the questions correct, Seth will be nice to you for one day.
Can't happen.
All right, so what I'm going to do with this, because I know this is smaller, so it's definitely going to be really like punchy and hard. So when you're judging, because this is kind of a thing, right? You talk about hard is based on the size relative to your subject. Well, right, my subject isn't all of Cadence, right? My subject is basically this much of her, and the zoom reflector is, what's that, like maybe 8 inches, right? So that's going to be smaller than her head. Even if I put it right next to her, it's going to be small. So this is always going to be small for a portrait. But what we can do is we can actually use our light to kind of have it wrap around our subject by aiming it not directly at her, but kind of a little bit more in front of her. This is called feathering. No extra charge for this, by the way. This could be its own class, feathering. Put that in my list for next month. Because remember I said the light spreads out, right? So if we don't aim the light directly at her, we can send some of the light back this way, which we can then use to craft the light better.
Got a question.
All right, we have a question.
Alex is asking, if you use a snoot a little far from the model, will it work like a reflector? It doesn't throw the same way. You're talking about limiting the actual spread there.
Yeah, so the difference with the snoot, if I'm understanding the question, so in a reflector, the light is kind of coming out and the light's hitting the inside of the reflector, much like it does in a softbox, right? And it's kind of like reshaping itself. In a snoot, the light's just going forward and you're cutting it into a circle. So backing the snoot up so that it has more coverage, it would be hard, but it wouldn't be the same kind of thing. You're not going to get the beautiful feathering. You won't be able to do this. So I would say no. I've also gone on record of saying I'm not a snoot person. Not that I'm not snooty, because it can be. All right, so I'm just going to come in at 3/4 here. Again, we're in TTL. All right. This is a little more punchy, right? Again, the light is harder, and this is one reason why I wanted to show this too, was because when we look at it versus the Magnum, I mean, it's not exactly the same. but we can actually look at the shadow transition, right? And we can see how it's harder. It's more abrupt because, again, the reflector is smaller. It's still, you know, the white is giving us that kind of extra, you know, spill into the shadow, but because the light itself is smaller, when we look at like all the shadow on her, it's going to be a little tighter. So because, again, it's smaller than the Magnum is. But look at the, that's the Magnum, but look at the detail in the necklace, right? Now, if you're shooting jewelry or something like that, using a hard light can just be really nice. You just get that texture. Texture, yes. All right. I like texture. And you get that light shining through the jewelry, giving us that nice color on the skin. All right. All right, so here we are. Oh, sorry, I took a picture. So let's craft this light a bit. So we've got our zoom reflector, the most, you know, kind of basic, simple, hard reflector. And we've got what's called loop lighting, so it's got the little thing. You know, and because we're going for this harder, punchier light, I'm leaving it because I'm sure somebody's going to ask. Cadence is, what's a good word to? She's pale. Let's just face it, right? She's like me. We're just we're the same. Yes.
I'm grandma white.
Yes. So she's very pale, right? So
Very pale.
when we're hitting her with this light, I'm keeping it bright because that's kind of what she looks like, you know. Because sometimes people will ask about exposure, and when you're exposing somebody's skin tone, you've got to kind of just eyeball them. And you know, if I took Cadence out in the sun, well, first of all, she'd melt, but you know, she's going to look like this. If you start to expose people more or less to try to meet this area where you think the exposure should be, it'll start to look off. This is pretty much true of any skin tone. So I'm keeping her bright because that's just what she looks like. So, you know, if somebody, well, not me, because I would also be very bright there, you know, basically the light should look the way that the person looks, you know, generally. So she's bright, that's why she's bright here. I'm gonna bust out the Brooklyn reflector again.
Angela's saying hi in the chat. You know, our Angela.
Oh, hey, Angela.
And also, you got a question.
And I have a question about the Brooklyn reflector.
No, not that everyone understands how foam core works. The questions: if you turn the flash so the middle of the light goes past her,
Yeah.
would the light be more nuanced? So I'm guessing if you're
Yes. The light is more nuanced. I like that. I'm going to use that word from now on. Well, the reason why you point it so the light goes past her is a couple of reasons. The main one, though, is that I have all this light over here that I can use for other things. This is like extra light, right? If I point it directly at her, I won't have that. I'm trying to fill it. I'm going to be like reaching way back here. And when I do that, it's not going to bounce back where I want it to be, right? I want the light to fill in that side of her face. So if the light's here, it's going to bounce. I don't know. Can they see that? Is there a camera that will see that if I? Okay. Here we go. Look at this demo. So again, because the light is pointed past her, if I bring the light like right there, we can already see it's filling in, right? You can see it's on. No. Oh, there you go. Well, I'll turn the camera. Okay, so we can see, you're live. We can see that when we take the board, right, and as I bring it in, you can even see it from here. Like right there, you're already seeing it, right? Look how close the board is to me, and I can already see it filling in. And then the more you get in, you're more. If the light went way past her, oh, I tightened it because I was being safe today. I never tighten anything. If I did that, in order to start to really get a reflector, I'm starting to get there. You see, I'm already like as far as I was with the full reflector before. To get it full, I'd have to be there, and I'm not actually filling in where I want it to be. You see how it didn't give as much fill? Because I don't have light to work with. It's all going past her. However, if I wanted a light on the wall, right, or a shadow, then that would work. So, you know, it's up to you. You can do what you like. I'm just saying this is why people feather light. Plus, it's fun to say. It's like, oh, I'm going to feather the light. I mean, you can really, it's still in live view, right? You can, I'm sorry, I'm blinding you guys. You can really, I'm actually not sorry, but you can really see, like, you can come really far out. I mean, look at where that light's over there. It's still, there's still light here on her. It's like, you know, and of course we could, I know this is going to be impressive. Get ready for it. We could zoom in the reflector for the person who had that question, right? And we can make the circle a little smaller, control it, right? So if we go like that, you see how it's zooming up and you see more of zoom, zoom, there you go. That's why they call it a zoom reflector. Thanks, I'm here every Thursday. All right. All right, so here we go. So that's why we do that. So nuance, I think more for style. You know, I mean, you're gonna have more to work with. It's a practicality thing. People like to say that the feathered light is softer. I'm not sure if it's softer. I just think that you're getting more light to work with. It wraps around a bit more. So yeah, you want a feathered light. Now, what were we doing? Oh, taking portraits. Okay, so we're gonna kind of come in.
Are you having a moment?
Right, and we're gonna fill with the Brooklyn reflector. And again, the light is hard. The light shapes her face, but now we have detail in the shadow if we want it. And you can see I didn't quite, you can get it. We can actually come in more nuanced. I like that word, I'm gonna start using that. And we can get it where we like. We can go really close to her. Oh, it's in the shot. Boom. And that'll give us a little bit more. It kind of depends on where you want it, right? It's all how you like it. So even with the small hard reflector, as the zoom is, you can still get a light that covers the entire face, that lights the face, doesn't light it in a soft way, although the fill is soft. The key is hard, the fill is soft, right? We're mixing the lights. Oh, that's another name for another demo, we'll call it. Add that to my list, Seth. You can turn the lights back on, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna put the grid in. Now, again, the grid is gonna narrow the spread of light. We're gonna really control where it falls. And then we're gonna actually mess around with two lights. I know, right now we're just kinda.
Oh boy.
I know, it's crazy. All right.
Daniel's making magic here.
And while he's doing that, you guys can hit like because Daniel feeds his family on likes.
Yeah, they.
There's a few hundred of you in the chat and only 89 likes. This is appalling.
Uh-oh, I gotta work on it. All right. Now, I'm gonna create kind of a Rembrandt-y kind of light because that'll get me some likes. So, all right. So we're actually gonna, again, now I'm feathering the light kind of away from the main subject. I'm actually pushing on this side of her face. So I want to get a little more shadow nuance there. You see I keep saying nuance? You like that? I'm gonna keep saying it the whole time. I love it, it's my new favorite word. I'm using it, that's it. Thank you, commenter. Good? Good. Here we go. So this is going to be really contrasty at this point. See how it's boom, right? This is dark, purposefully, because now I want to show you what we can fill in. Now with the grid, it gets harder to fill, right? Because the grid is, you know, it's controlling where the light falls. If I put the thing on here, I'm barely getting any light on the reflector because you can't see it. So now we need another light. See, told you. Told you I was going to use another light. So if we want to really create this kind of like tough, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Changing my mind. Come forward a little bit. I have an idea. I know it's unusual, but sometimes we change our minds in the middle of the shoot. Okay, it's every time that we do that. I'm actually gonna use two lights, but I'm not gonna use a fill light because I'm gonna keep this whole thing hard. We're actually gonna, I like the zoom reflector actually. I must start using the zoom reflector now. Cliff told me, he said, you'll like the zoom reflector. I do have one, I just don't use it. All right. I'm gonna actually take the Magnum. No, what's the most impractical light to use for a hair light? The telezoom? Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the telezoom right at Seth. All right, so, oh right. Like a drum, yep. All right, so this, we're not gonna use the grid. We're gonna do a bit of a hair light. You know, Clip asked me if I had a plan, and I said no, and I think he thought I was joking. You give me toys, I play with them. All right. Now, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna actually the Fesnel would probably be better for this, but this might be too tight. We're gonna actually kind of skim her with the telezoom as a hair light, kind of kick her from across her chin. Yeah, we're gonna kind of sculpt her.
Yep.
Yeah, right on Seth. Yep. Sorry, Seth. No, I'm actually not sorry.
I needed a tan.
All right. Luckily, it's a white one, so it won't be.
Blast the paint off this wall.
Wow. Oh. Actually, can we stop filming? Because I think that I'm going to use this technique now, and I don't want anybody else to know how to do it.
All right, just go. All right.
All right.
40 minutes deep. Go.
All right, seriously though. All right, so let's turn off this modeling light because I'm blinding myself.
Oh yeah.
And what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of slice some light past the back of her head and get it kind of on her cheek. That's the plan anyways. All right, can I? Yeah. Right there. I think that's probably going to be good. All right. I'm only going to fire the telezoom, you know, because, again, you got to build things up here. Oof. Oh, okay, yeah, that worked.
Oh, look at your little.
I got some bokeh.
Oh man.
No extra charge for that.
You got some light reflecting in that lens.
All right, that's way too hot. But that often happens with TTL, right? The light's shooting in the lens. It doesn't exactly know what you want. I mean, much like a good photo assistant, it does the best it can do. But sometimes you're crazy. TTL doesn't know what you want. So it blew it out a little bit, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. Let's see. It's actually in a good position. I actually think. Seth loves this. All right. Okay. All right. It's important just to move the light a little bit sometimes. We're going to turn the other light on. What's great about filming these is that later I'll remember how I did it. All right, here we go. So I recommend live streaming everything you do. Okay. What happened there? This is, okay, right. This is where everybody's like, what? So let's take a second to talk about TTL. So when you're using TTL, right, and I only had the one light on, it's looking at the camera's meter and it's going, I got to light the subject that's in front of me, which was Keynes' face, right? So it's blasting the light as much as it can, bouncing it off Seth, and coming back and filling her in. But when we have two lights going on, it's going, well, no, I got this light right here that's lighting her. So I can be subtle with my hair light, and you can see that indeed.
That's pretty sick, honestly.
Thank you, Profoto. That's pretty good, right? That's some good TTL. If you're as old as Seth, you would know TTL used to be garbage. This is really good. So yeah, so now we can start playing with it. So there's a couple ways we can do this, and I probably did it wrong because I don't think I'm in the right mode.
You remember when they used to call TTL totally terrible light?
Oh
You
my
remember
God,
that
yes,
whole thing?
yes.
Now
Yes.
it's like, just do it.
Yeah, it's so good. Okay, so I think I didn't set this correctly. So to be able to just switch, am I set in the right mode that it's going to keep these exposures when I go to manual stuff?
Whatever it is, you go to manual state.
Okay, it's going to stay, okay.
It doesn't matter.
All right, doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to go to manual, which means I'm just going to press the auto button. And now we're going to make some judgments, right? Because of course, as Joe McNally's t-shirt used to say, your camera didn't go to art school, right? So I have to decide now what I want to do here. I think we're a little bit.
Are you reminiscing today? What is
I'm reminiscing. I think overall it looks really nice. I think it's a tiny bit hot on her face and a tiny bit not hot enough on the hair light. So I can go into my controller here, which now I'm in manual. Okay, so the light in the back is A because I'm totally confusing myself today. And I'm going to actually dial myself up a little bit. Let's say half a stop. And I'm going to take the front light down 2/10. Never look at the subject when you shoot. That's important. There we go. Wow. And we can see that now we're starting, remember nuance, remember that word? Right? We're starting to build something that has a little bit of flair to it. It doesn't feel like, you know, I put a big softbox in front, you know, like a 5-foot octa on the beach, you know, and getting the sky dark. Right? I'm building something a little bit darker and more moody here.
That's a Netflix original series for horror.
Yeah.
That is a crime doc. What'd you do to your aunt? Where is she? No one's heard of her from her for 3 weeks.
Now,
Cliff, actually, James in the chat is saying our Coffee with Creators, Cliff, was one of the best.
oh,
Yeah, see, someone actually
there
watched
you
it.
go.
Thank you.
Actually,
What was in Cliff's coffee is the question. All right. All right. I might need Seth for this because I don't know if I'm good enough at reflecting. But I want to fill in just a
you
tiny
got a
bit.
legend.
I want 2/10 of fill under her chin with this reflector.
Okay,
Round of applause for Cliff Hauser, everybody. Cliff
From the
Hauser.
telezoom.
like this?
Yeah, because, okay, so what's going to happen? Remember I tried to use a reflector before. This light's not going to reflect, right? Because there's not enough. But I have all this, right? Remember the feathering? All this telezoom light that's pointed at Seth. We can bounce that back, and Cliff's going to bounce it back with skill and proficiency.
Turn the modeling light so I can see.
You just been
Oh, you want the
throwing
modeling
the
light?
away.
Just so
All
I
right,
can see.
we're going to put on the modeling light, you know, just because he wants to make sure he nails it.
Can I see?
Oh, that's pretty good. All right.
Right there?
Yep, I think so. I just trust you to do it. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, there you go. 2/10 of a stop. Right on. And look at that. I'm going to switch the zoom reflector to the Magnum because I think that we're getting, you know, as it's 7,000 degrees out, and Cadence is starting to glow a little bit, right? So we're going to use a slightly larger.
You saying you need to repowder?
Yes, I do. I am saying that. If you don't mind, do you have powder?
I do, of course.
All right, Cadence is going to powder her nose, and Cliff's going to tell us some jokes.
I can tap dance. I can't.
All right, that was a really good reflector job, though.
That was very
that was a very good.
Put Cliff in that lane and take a shot.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, thank you.
I will when I get the
Too much reflection.
Magnum. All
Oh,
right.
we're going to shape that dome, son.
They didn't hear it. The Cliff Dome Cliff light. Special.
All right, so Cliff's going to show you how to do it correctly.
No, no,
because
no.
It's
you got
very
it.
expensive.
No, I'm going to let you do it.
So, grid,
Sorry.
Magnum. This is terrible. If I was a photo assistant and I was pushing the thing on like this, I would be in so much trouble. But it's good. Cliff won't strike me because we're alive, so I feel safe
No,
right
I'm
now.
not striking you because it's not my.
Oh, that's right. Oh, all right.
Put it
Well,
under his name. So
well,
John's name is.
I apologize that I just ruined your reflector. All right. Look, if you can't break a little bit of gear every once in a while. All right, so we got a couple things going on here. So before.
What you're talking about with touching the grid.
Oh, okay. So I was being gentle. So the grid, as wonderful and beautiful as it is, you can damage it by if you push the middle in, which is what I was doing. But I was very careful not to do it. So when you put a grid on, you really want to push the sides of it, and not put your hand in the middle of it. But all right, I wasn't being gentle. You all saw me. I can't. I'm trying to deny it, but frankly, I was breaking the gear. All right, so.
We call those eBay grids because that's when they get real cheap after someone did that to it.
This is why, companies like Profoto never let me borrow gear. No, I'm kidding. No, it actually didn't collapse into my hand, which is good. Okay, so guess what? We changed to the Magnum reflector, which is bigger. It still has a grid, but it also is going to add a little bit extra oomph because it's a Magnum. So I can't just shoot a picture. I mean, I could, but the exposure is going to be different now, right? Everything's in a different spot. So we got to reevaluate, right? We're making a change. That's not good now, right? We have to think about where our lights are. We're going to kind of start over. I'm going to go back to TTL. By the way, the exposure and stuff was wrong because I was in manual. So now I'm back to TTL. I'm going to turn off the telezoom. Has anybody ever used a telezoom live on this channel as a Hairlight?
Never.
Okay, there you go.
Never seen it.
No, never done it before. All right, never done. Now everybody's going to do it. That's going to be a new trend. You guys buy some telezooms, start doing some Hairlights. All right, so here we go. We can already see we've got more light to play with here with the Magnum. Right? We're going to get a little bit more nuance. I want you to know, by the way, because I'm surprised that the sandbag police have not called me out on the fact that I'm completely doing this wrong.
You're right.
So this is not very heavy, and Cadence has insurance, so I'm not that worried about it.
No, she doesn't.
Just because they're not in the chat doesn't mean they won't be in the comments for years to come.
Right, it'll be in the future.
She doesn't.
So yeah,
But,
right. I mean, it's fine. It's
we're good.
obviously you want to be as safe as possible, but that's fine. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, that's very nice. All right, so I'm going to take a test shot. This is just the Magnum reflector back to TTL. Okay, and we see it's got more coverage. That is punchy.com. I mean, look at the shape of her lips. This is why we use these kind of things for beauty. All right, that's cool. I'm going to bring the telezoom back up. I won't do the whole TTL trick thing, because I'm just going to put them both in TTL. Sorry. Okay. Nice, right? Be even better if it was in focus, but it's okay.
Focus.
Yeah, it's okay. No, focus. That's
That's how
for
you
amateurs.
smooth that texture to make
Listen,
them
look
feel
at
like they're real.
look at Bresson's street images. Half of them are out of focus. Come on.
This is retouching in camera with Daniel Norton. Look at that nice.
Honestly, when
Instagram
I was first
filter.
learning Photoshop, that's what my softening looked like. I gotta tell you.
He's ageless there.
Yeah.
That's an Instagram beauty filter. Right
That is
there.
that's a filter right there.
That's an
If you
Instagram
want to buy that preset, it's on sale right now. All right. Okay. I call it the defocus preset. All right. Here we go. Let's take one that's in focus. There we go. All right. So now we're back. You see, it's a little more subtle because we got a little more wrap, and she changed her hair, and now we can. I'm gonna now remember I made some adjustments before. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go to manual. I'm going to take the Hairlight, which is in my A group. I'm going to bring it up half a stop. Now, I could have done that in TTL, but, I forgot. And then I'm going to bring this one down 3/10. We're going to take another shot. Remember when these used to be Polaroids and you had to wait 2 minutes? No, you're all too young to remember that. Okay. And there we go. Beautiful. One last thing. We need Cliff.
Oh, we're just going to use this instead of pushing it into her. Like,
Oh, it's on. Oh, what you said?
no,
It's flying
not,
past
it's going past
Oh.
her. I'm saying because it's so long, Rick.
Okay, come
Let's just do it this way.
forward, kittens. Is the telezoom not on her now? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's on her. There we go. Okay, I see. Because the zoom, remember I mentioned before, it's a different size modifier. So,
Correct.
right, she had to back up to get it. Okay, we got it. All right, we're in game. Good thing we have people here to keep me on track. All right, we're gonna take a shot and see where it goes. All right. Okay, that's really bright, huh? The modeling light, I mean. All right, so let's get back in. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to readjust this because you are good. This actually needs to go like this. Okay. I got distracted in my jokes and I didn't put the light in the right spot. All right, so that's in the right spot now, so stand by. I'm going to turn the telezoom back on for a second. Let me just see if it's hitting her. It's not. Can you push it this way a little bit, Cliff, the telezoom?
Telezoom this way.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yep, that's what
There you go.
That's
Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
That's where it needs to go. All right.
That's what I
Now I'm going to switch back to TTL, and we're going to make this happen. Then we're going to do one quick adjustment, and we'll be done. There it is. Now we get the Hairlight back on her. Flyaways. Need a filter for that. Okay. Now, one quick adjustment. Hairlight. Actually, let me show you something, because I'm just kind of doing it, off of feel. But the way that you could do this if you're unsure, because I might get this question sometimes, like, how do you know how much to adjust it? One thing you can do is, if we want to look at her skin tone and we go, that looks a little hot for me. You can go here and capture one, and you can actually just grab the exposure slider. That's the easiest thing to do, and just drag it down until it gets where you like it. So there, about half stop, right? Then I'm going to reset it. I'm going to go over to my Hairlight. And that actually looks pretty good to me, but I think let's just see what we can do if we bring it up a little bit or down. I think up is good. I'm only looking at the Hairlight at this point. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna go half a stop down on my key light. So I'm gonna come back in here. I'm gonna switch to manual. I'm gonna take this light down half a stop, which is 5/10. At least that's what they taught me in school. Did I do the right one? I did. Yeah, all right. Do you need the modeling light? Seth likes it when you put it on.
Yeah, I don't need brightness.
I can't see.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Right there. Yep, there you go. Boom. Okay. And now we've adjusted it, right? We've got more coverage on her face. It's a little bit less nuanced, right, than the other one, but it has more coverage. So it kind of depends on what you like.
Is that a new title for you for your next one?
No. Sorry my apologies to the person in the comments with the.
This is the Fesnel.
Yeah, let's do the Fesnel. Let's over this. Okay, so more nuanced, more open, right? Bigger modifier gave us, to start off with, more coverage on the face, less shadow that we need to fill in. Depends on what you like. Honestly, I like the top one. You ever do that? You completely change your lighting and you actually like what you had better the first time? Story of my life. All right. This is what we've been waiting for the whole night. This is like Piano Man if you go to a Billy Joel concert. Or, sorry, I don't have a more recent music reference.
You want me to take this off?
Yes, sir.
How about I just move it out of the way?
Yep, we move it. All right. We're going to use the Fesnel or Fresnel attachment.
Yeah, completely.
Move it here? Or yeah, that's good. Now,
Okay.
you can't see? I'm going to do that. That's what I bring it down for.
Nobody can ever see it here. I try to blind them with whatever we have. All right, so I think we're going to need a new battery. This might be the first time I've ever needed a new battery. Doing a lot of modeling lights today.
I didn't properly charge them. It's my fault.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to switch the battery out on here so we don't run out midstream.
While he's doing that, you guys can hit like. Daniel needs to feel validated to continue with his life. So a couple.
If I don't get
hundred in
enough
the
lights,
chat.
then I weep incessantly.
And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. We're at almost 1.3 million subscribers after, what are we doing, 13 years now?
Wow, that's pretty good. I remember the days when we were. All right. Okay. This is my coffee mug. This is the small Fresnel lens. So Fresnel lenses are basically a glass lens. It's got concentric circles. This allows for smooth but punchy hard light. This is a lot of times like movie lighting uses this kind of lens. This also has a built-in iris. Is that what's in there? This also has a built-in iris so we can control the spread of it, which is kind of nice. Because the thing is, if you start putting stuff in front of the light, which you can, it might change the feel of it, right? As we've discovered. By having the iris, we can get a little control by having it behind the lens effectively. All right, so we're gonna just slide this on. This is the small one, guys. All right. We're gonna put a sandbag on this because this is very expensive and I could see some heart palpitations from Profoto. All right. Let me get it in position. So we're gonna put it here because it just feels like the right spot because I'm not gonna be able to move it again with the sandbag on it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna turn the modeling light so we can kind of see where it's falling. Oh wow, okay, I have the iris in there. Okay. So I don't know if, can you guys see that, how it's?
Yeah. You got the monitor on?
Yeah, I do. See?
Hang on. Would you calm down, sir?
Yeah, let me do it on the background.
Do that.
I'll do it on the background, it might be easier to see.
No, I got live view.
Okay, you got live view on, so I'll do it on her. All right, so we've got, oh wow, that's very nice, actually. All right, so we've got this. Do you feel like you're in the spotlight? All right. I'm gonna need a apple box.
Is that iris wide open?
Are my eyes wide open?
Is that iris open?
It is about halfway in the middle, I believe. I'm gonna, New York, Chicago, LA, right? All right, there you go. You learned something else. Add that to the list. All right, wide open. Ooh. If it was like a 1920s like silent film, we could like open and close it with the iris. So we can actually control again, the spread of the light here, right? I'm just gonna stand here the whole day, I like it. All right, so you put down, why is this useful, besides the fact that it's cool, is that how hard your light is, right? The feel of your light is based on the size of your light, right, and the distance. By having an iris, we can cut down the spread of the light without moving our light, right? If we didn't have this iris in here, in order to get it to be smaller, I'd either have to flag it or I'd have to move it back and forth. Here, this is gonna allow me to place it where I want it and then fill in exactly right. So we're gonna be able to control our light to get it exactly where we want it. Very useful.
The link to this is in the chat, guys, if you want
Yeah,
to check
if
it
you
out.
want one of these, links in the chat. If you want to send one to me as well, I'll take it. All right, so here we go. We're going back to TTL. It's B,
Come on,
right?
Marty, we're going back to TTL.
All right. All right. Here we go. Aiming the light. It's at TTL. I think it's a little high, but that's okay. I'm going to take a shot because Seth's rushing me. If I don't shoot at least one shot every... Oh, wow. Okay. So,
Man, look at her eye. Wow.
you know what this is not? White on the inside, right? But see how creamy it is? It's still really smooth. I think it's a little hot for me. Yep. I don't even hear that me say that very much because I usually like my stuff hot, but I actually think that's giving me a little bit of a hotter exposure than I like. I'm gonna dial it down a tiny bit.
It's a little hot, but look at how dimensional her eye is.
No, it's beautiful.
Like
No, I'm
it's a
just like,
round.
no, it's beautiful light. A Fresnel is
That's not a flat
like
eye.
look at that texture.
I mean,
I mean, look at that eye.
that left eye is bananas.
If you want to buy that preset, there's not one. All right. So,
Daniel's preset is called "Learn to Light."
Learn to
okay, I think it's a little bit hot for me. So we can just go in here and be like, hey, TTL, I appreciate all the work you've been doing for me. But, you know, I feel like with this particular image, I would like it to be a little bit darker. And we can just dial it on. That'll work now, right? Yeah, Cliff says it will. Half a stop. All right, yeah, that's good. There we go. Now we get that little bit, maybe a little darker. Maybe a little bit less, okay. Minus 0.8. Took a picture from there, see that? And she was ready for it.
Just do like the negative EV from the camera for
You could do that as well. You could do it either way now. But you used to not be able to do that, but now you can. That's why I asked. So, what's the difference, right? Why did I make the adjustment in TTL and not just switch to manual, which is what, you know, I'm sure somebody's yelling right now in the chat. When you make an adjustment in TTL, you're saying, hey, TTL, give me the right exposure, but I want it to be a little bit darker. And if cadence were to move, or I move the light, it will remember that's what I want, and it will readjust the power for me. If I switch to manual, and then I start talking to my audience, you guys, you're on a shoot, you start talking to the audience, you're not paying attention, you know, all of a sudden you get a bad exposure. That's why I leave it in TTL. And I still sometimes get bad exposure, because I don't. But that's why, that's the difference. That's why I did it both ways. It's in TTL right now. I'm setting it to give me a little bit less of an exposure. Part of that has to do with the reflectance of cadence of skin that we talked about before, that I love to talk about how reflectance of skin is.
balance light.
You know, and that's just how, you know, just how it is. So I think for her, that's a good setting. I also feel like I want to go a little, okay. And I'm going to open up the iris a little bit. Chicago. Okay. A little bit like this. Okay. Here we go. All right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so little adjustments. Look at that loop light. If you were taking like a photography course in 1985, they'd be like, make sure you know how to do the loop light. There it is. No, but there you go. Like, that's very dimensional. See the difference? This is why we have different lighting modifiers. It's one thing to be like, oh, a bare head is hard light, right? But each modifier has its own quality, its own unique thing that it can bring to the shoot. And as you figure out what works for you, you can decide what modifiers you love. I said at the beginning, I love a Magnum reflector. I found for me, it made the best beauty light for what I like to shoot. Now I feel like the white one's gonna be the one, but that's me, right? You might want this Fesnel, you might want a zoom reflector, you might want a beauty dish if you're, you know, if you're one of those people. But anybody, no, I'm kidding, of course I have a beauty dish. I have the most amazing beauty dish. And yeah, I like it. Should we do something else? I feel like we need a hair light.
I kind of want to bang this into the ceiling as a fill.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
You know, they used to do that back in the day. What you want to use this?
Or the Magnum. You know what I'm saying? Because you get the reach with the Magnum.
You know you're a baller when the light you bounce off the ceiling is in a telezoom. So I'm just going to bounce it off the ceiling, but you know what I need? Telezoom. All right. We're doing it. Seth's requesting it, I'm doing it.
So it's a 12-foot ceiling.
All right. Now, this is going to give us a nice little pool of light here. Do you think we need to? Well, let's see what happens. All right, it's sleeping. It has a little moon on it, like it's asleep. I like that. I'm going to wake it up. We're going to get rid of this light for a second. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of this light for a second. Let's just see what happens. What do you think is gonna happen? It's gonna bounce up the ceiling, light her up. Boom. There you go. That's what happens when you bounce the light off the ceiling. But this isn't gonna be our only light, right? This is just a bit of a fill. It's gonna fill the room mostly, that's why I wanted to look at it. We're mostly getting the room filled up. I think if we were to bounce it this way, we might get a decent fill. This corner? And what's cool about this is this ceiling, by the way, because people don't know this if they're at home, this little corner here is blue. Seth painted it. Did you paint that? Yeah. Yeah, you did. You painted it. Seth painted this corner blue. Painted the whole room. And what I'm going to do here is, okay. All right. So we have a light. It's a very powerful light. A circle of light. Much like that Elton John. Did I ever use that joke today? I did. Yeah. Oh, man, okay. We're going to bounce it off the blue wall, and it's going to, oh, Seth's getting a little bit of the white light in there as well. And it's going to come down this way, right? Because the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflectance. I haven't said that yet, have I? So, boom, boom. If we bounce it straight up, where are our shadows? Down. If we bounce it this way, our shadows are that way.
This is a deep navy wall, so he's pushing a lot of power through this light.
I have faith.
But
we might need the Magnum
Zoom helps
actually.
you out with that. You gain light from the Zoom.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. But I'm a TTL. Let's.
You would just shape it with the key, like leave it filled. Who cares?
No, I gotcha. Okay, that's at 8.9. So I want to see where we're at. That might actually be nice. All right, here we go. We're just doing it. We're turning both lights on. I'm going to leave the key at minus 0.8 because that's where it looked good before. I'm going to take my fill light and I'm going to add, because Seth said not to change it, I'm just going to add 0.1 just because I'm that guy.
You're fired.
Yep. See, the king's going to look at me. She's going to raise her chin a tiny bit. Go this way. Boom. Oh.
Did you keep that in TTL?
That's in TTL, yeah.
Yeah, you kept it in TTL. That's why I probably did that.
Okay, well, I needed a base exposure. All right, here we go. We're going to manual. This is it. I'm cranking the fill light. Here we go. Ready? Ooh, I like that sound. There it is. All right, turn the fill light up all the ways in manual, and the background's lit. I don't know. I'm not sure. It lit the background, but I don't think that really did anything for us.
Well, I would dial down the key light.
Okay, we're going to dial down the key light. Okay. It's flat.
Right.
Cool, there you go. If you wanted to light up the space, you can bounce the thing off the wall. I think for what we're doing here, though, I want to keep the more contrast, but I just want to add a little bit of separation. We got time? All right, time for one quick shot. Everybody's like, Daniel, hurry up. All right, here we go. We can't end on that one because it's too flat. Give me one more shot, guys. One frame. Can you stay for one more frame? Oh, I'm not going to, I'll try not to knock the camera. All right, here we go.
My moral of that story was just it's not just giving you hard
So
light. It's
you're
giving
going to
you
be
more power
there.
when you need it.
And you're going to be, I'm going to have you like do kind of a slight, yeah, exactly. So because we don't have a whole lot of space, as we learned before with the telezoom, I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to have cadence turn that way, and we're going to kind of, I'm going to use the telezoom to rake the background, but also give a little bit of a kick.
You're also going to get a lot of reflection off.
Yeah, I know.
You guys all right in that chat?
I'm using the grid. Not on my hand in the center of it. I swear. All right. So, you know what Seth said was that we're going to get a bunch of bounce wall off the wall. And he was right. So by using the grid, I'm controlling, I'm only hitting that little bit. So we should hopefully not get too much fill from there. Let's do a quick, I'm actually gonna take 2 frames. I know I said 1 frame, but I can't just do 1 frame. I haven't got that. I haven't got it in me to do that. So, frame number 1 is gonna be establishing the Fresnel. Okay? So we're gonna take this light, I'm going back to TTL. I'm turning the backlight off. Fresnel light here, very dramatically on her eyeballs. Okay, we're gonna look at that. I'm gonna do what I talked about before. We're gonna, I don't like that, hold on. I'm lighting her from the back again.
3 shots.
I'm doing 3 shots, I know. I had to move where the light was. See how it's better though? It was worth it, right? Yeah. All right. It just made more sense for the light to be coming from the back. That's good. I'm gonna leave it hot for a second. Now we're gonna jump to this light. So that's at 6. Turn it off, turn this one on. Again, we're in TTL. We're just gonna take a shot. Boom. Oh, okay, interesting, interesting. 4 shots. Imagine if these were all Polaroids. You guys were sitting here forever. There we go, perfect. What's that set at?
9.
9, perfect. That's where we like it. Go into manual. Now, we're gonna quickly evaluate this. It's a little hot. Okay, that's just about a stop. So we're gonna turn this down to 8. So we're gonna down 1 stop. Right, good.
You're in standby. You're not on yet. That light's not on.
The light's, oh. The light's not on?
No, now it is.
Oh, okay.
Now it's 9.
All right, there we go, 10.
Now it's 8.
8, perfect. Then we're gonna jump back to this, which again was too hot. Dial it down to about right there, about half a stop. Come over here. It was at 6, remember I said that? That's why I did that before. It was 6 before, we're gonna drop it down to 5.5. Whew, here we go. All right. Exposure's good. I still like the shot with Cliff's fill better. So we'll pretend like the last shot we did was that one. You know, one of the things that I used to always say, and I'm gonna start saying it again today, is that when you're experimenting and you're messing around, you're shooting, shoot until it's bad, right? Shoot, 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 keep pushing yourself. Then when you reach a point where, you know what, I'm just going the wrong direction, that's when you know you're done. We got something good in the middle, and we're gonna keep it. Somewhere over here, Cliff did a perfect fill, somewhere in there, and you'll see it somewhere on social probably. There we go. We can see how we're able to get, there we go, the nuanced light. Right back one more time with the hard light. The thing is, you can work with big soft light, you can work with hard light. What you want to do is think about what am I doing? What is the feel I want to get in my images? How much control do I need? Who am I shooting? All this is going to be important. Don't just take a technique and go like, oh, now I'm just going to use this for everybody, because it's not for everybody, right? And don't just use a giant softbox for everybody. Pick the lights that work for you. That's why they make different modifiers. It's not like everything can be shot with one thing. If you want different styles, you've got to mess around. Rent things, there's Adorama rentals. Come to lots of things. Cliff's always here letting us, isn't there some kind of Sony day or something coming up?
Yes.
Watch Adorama events is going to be a thing. Cliff will be there probably, I'm guessing. Try this stuff. See what works for you. Find a modifier that works. And then create cool stuff. All right. Seth, Last Text Witness, Cadence is Cadence Frank. I'm Daniel Norton. Thanks, guys.